Well, good evening, everybody. It's 7 o'clock on Monday, January 18th, and we'll call the regular City Commission meeting of Sault Ste. Marie to order. Roll call, please.
Mayor Gary,
Here.
Commissioner Baker,
Here.
Commissioner Baspis Raft,
Here.
Commissioner Collins,
Here.
Commissioner Miller,
Here.
Commissioner Talentino,
Here.
Commissioner Twardy.
Here.
All present and accounted for. Thank you. If we could all rise, and Commissioner Miller will recite the Pledge of Allegiance for us, if we'd mute our microphone.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner. Item 4, Mayor comments and general announcements. Of course, today is Martin Luther King Day, and it's celebrated as a day of service to honor Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s life, his legacy, and his fight for civil rights. Dr. King was an American minister who led a life of peaceful, active protest against the crippling injustice of racial segregation and poverty in America. The permanent observance theme is remember, celebrate, act, a day on, not a day off. Have a couple of comments, maybe a long-winded comment on COVID. I know we see a lot of information in the news, so I'm not gonna comment on the pandemic itself. But we all know that the shutdowns are having a devastating effect on both personal and business health. These shutdowns have been unprecedented in our lifetimes, and every state has added a different degree of severity, controversy, confusion, and obvious missteps along the way. Our economy will take considerable time to recover, and some businesses may not survive. It is important to keep in mind that the overall goal of government has been to try to keep the residents safe in these uncertain times. There have been a lot of recent actions by some county boards, even a couple here in the UP, Delta County and Baraga County. And we've probably all seen Baraga County wrote what they called the Baraga County Manifesto, and it was signed a week ago today. And that does highlight the frustration and the anger that people are harboring right now. While some distrust of government is certainly understandable, and the unwavering and passionate support of the business community is commendable and totally appropriate in the manifesto, the threat to take no action and to ignore the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services or state orders and suggesting businesses to open contrary to those orders is reckless and puts everybody in the business community that are professing to support in harm's way. Those counties have no legal authority to take such action, and the state and its departments are the licensing and enforcement mechanisms in those circumstances. Locally, we have seen a movement that's requesting that the County of Chippewa take some similar action. I did reach out and speak to the county chairperson and another commissioner, and they are considering a resolution of support for the business community at a special meeting on Wednesday at 4 o'clock this week. Immediately before this meeting, I received a draft copy of the proposed resolution, and I sent it to everybody's email address. I am sorry for the short time frame. I personally reviewed it, and I'm personally very supportive of their passage of it, and I feel that they, and not us, are the appropriate body of local government to be doing so, as the County of Chippewa has jurisdiction over the Chippewa County Health Department, through whom the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services orders are carried out with oversight over the restaurants and the bars. From the city perspective, I had the opportunity, as you know, to meet with Governor Whitmer last week in a one-on-one virtual call last week. She does have periodic meetings with Michigan mayors. I appreciate comments that you had given me to share with her prior to the meeting. I had 3 pages of bullet points that gave a brief outline of the assets and the opportunities that our community has, discussed the state funding that we have received for many worthwhile projects. And just as a reminder, we're breaking ground this year on projects that total around $30 million, none of which would be possible without the state funding through MEDC, MDOT, and MDNR, totaling about $6.6 million. So the state is a critical partner. And that doesn't include the success we've had with the facade grants and other state agency funding in the last few years. We also discussed our legislative concerns and our needs, such as revenue sharing shortfalls, dark store loopholes, unfunded state mandates that come through, and other issues coming forward. We did candidly discuss COVID and the enormous impact it has had on our community and other communities, and some of the small business relief initiatives that have been marginally successful, and there are some coming down the road, and we talked about a little bit of how they've fallen short. I did reiterate to her that our county has the lowest numbers per million in the state and has since the inception of COVID, and certainly that we believe in local control and being able to open up, and we did talk about the need to get safely open fast. So as she indicated in her last press conference, the administration is hopeful that they can ease the restrictions on February 1st, which is coming up within a couple of weeks. And I did reach out to her legislative aide in UP today just to make sure that they are still on that type of a schedule. Certainly there's no guarantee, and I'll hold my breath, but he was confident that those are the dates they're trying to look forward to ease some of the restrictions for bars and restaurants. So thank you very much. Getting back to, all right, so item B is proclamations and recognitions. This evening we have none. Item C, public comment. Is there anybody that's online this evening that would like to make any comments on any of the agenda items in front of us? I think you can unmute and give us your name and residence address. So anybody have any desire to comment on any of our agenda items? Kind of a light agenda, so we know that. All right, moving on to D, consent agenda. Deputy City Manager Robin Troyer, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Item 1 under the consent agenda is approval of the City Commission meeting minutes of January 4th, 2021. Item 2 is acceptance of the Airport Authority Board meeting minutes of December 10th, 2020. Item 3 is acceptance of the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority meeting minutes of October 13, 2020. Item 4, acceptance of the Community Services Board meeting minutes of December 1st, 2020. Item 5 is acceptance of the Economic Development Corporation meeting minutes of November 10th, 2020. Item 6 is acceptance of the Sault Ste. Marie Housing Commission meeting minutes of November 19th, 2020. Item 7 is acceptance of the resignation of Bob Matson from the Economic Development Corporation. Item 8 is consideration of a renewal agreement with Lamar Companies for outdoor advertising structure or a billboard. And item 9 is approval of the consent agenda items as presented. And just a note, Mayor, with the resignation of Bob Matson from the Economic Development Corporation, that does leave a vacancy on the board. So anybody interested in fulfilling that vacancy, they can fill out an application and submit it to the city clerk's office.
Thank you very much, Deputy City Manager. And that certainly is a critical role within the city. So please get your applications into Robin Troyer or the city clerk's office for interest in serving on the Economic Development Corporation and hanging out with Shane Miller because he's the liaison to that group. So is there any commissioner that would like any of the items in the consent agenda further explained or removed for individual consideration? Commissioner Miller.
I'd just like to make a comment, if I may, Your Honor.
Sure.
On number 7, Bob Matson was a great asset to the EDC board, and I worked with him closely, and he's going to be sorely missed.
Well, we certainly appreciate his service, and I would think that we as a city probably send a letter of thanks to him. So thank you very much. Anybody else have any questions or comments? Commissioner Twardy, I see you're
Move
unmuted.
to approve. Thank you. Move to approve the consent agenda.
Support.
Has been moved and supported. Any questions or comments? Roll call vote, please.
Mayor Gary,
Yes.
Commissioner Baker,
Yes.
Commissioner Boswell-Rath,
Yes.
Commissioner Collins,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Talentino,
Yes.
Commissioner Twardy.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimously. Thank you very much. E, special orders of business. This evening we have none. Under F, communications, we have none. Moving right along to G, which is business items. City Manager Chapman.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Up first for commission consideration is the award of a bid for the purchase of a loader mounted blower. This particular piece of equipment has been previously budgeted for. It is to be split between the city and the airport. In conducting the bid, we received several bids from various vendors. A number of them didn't meet the specifications that we sent out with the bid, as well as one of them bidding out of territory, so they had to pull back their bid for consideration. So staff is recommending a motion to approve the purchase of the Vol L275 snow blower from MTech for a purchase price of $140,000.
Thank you, City Manager. We'll go through the roll call and see if there are any questions or comments. And last meeting, we went reverse, so this meeting will go forward. So Commissioner Baker, any questions or comments on this item?
Oh, thank you.
All right, Commissioner Boswell-Rath.
Yeah, I see that it was under budget by 10,000, so that's good. I like that.
Yep.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Collins.
I'm good, thank you.
Commissioner Miller.
Like Commissioner Rath said, it's nice to see $10,000 under budget. That's nice. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Twardy.
I'm all set. Thank you.
All right.
Commissioner Talent.
Commissioner Baker, would you like to make the motion? Sorry.
Yep, sure.
Commissioner Twardy? Did you have a comment, Commissioner Twardy?
You
Yeah.
skipped Commissioner Talentino.
I did?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Your Honor. I appreciate that. Yes, thank you very much. I do have a question on this one, actually,
Sorry.
for the city manager and for the DPW. Now, are we going to have two of them, or are we just going to get rid of the other one? Or is this going to, like I said, give us an extra, have two on the road at any given time?
Eric, could you answer that?
Yeah, this one will be primarily used at the airport and it'll be a backup for us. We have one right now, which always makes me nervous when we pull out Ashman Street and only have one blower. So now I'll have a backup.
Okay, perfect. That's all I need to know. Thank you very much.
Great questions. My heartfelt apology for skipping you. Commissioner Baker.
Yes, I'll make the motion to approve the purchase of a Vol L275 snow blower for MTech for the purchase price of $140,000.
Support.
And moved and supported. Any questions or comments? Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Baker,
Yes.
Commissioner Boswell-Rath,
Yes.
Commissioner Collins,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Talentino,
Yes.
Commissioner Twardy,
Yes.
Mayor Gary.
Yes. Motion passed unanimously. Thank you very much. G, business items, number 2, City Manager Chapman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Up next for consideration is a COVID sick leave policy for the employees within the organization. So a little background on this one. The Families First Coronavirus Response Act requires certain employees to provide an extra sick leave bank to their employees should they be quarantined or sick, hospitalized, or taking care of a loved one, whatever the case may be. This was in effect from about March to the end of December 2020. Employers have the option to extend it that's not subject to federal law. This request would be putting basically the same federal piece of legislation into a policy for implementation within the organization. Basically, we've been doing this since March. We feel like if we had a few more months while everyone is getting vaccinated, we'll be able to provide a resource for the employees to utilize if they are subject to a quarantine or they are within a positive contact. We don't foresee it being utilized too much more. Since March, we've probably had, we counted up, probably about 45 full-time employees utilize the program out of our 120 or so. It's been about 1,100 hours, 1,200 hours that we've had to pay out for COVID sick time. So there's some benefits to it. The city has an incentive program that pays out employees for unused sick time. What we want to prevent is people making a financial decision to maintain their potential payout by not using their sick time and coming into work if they're exposed, no symptoms. You know, we want to try to keep that stuff out of the organization. We have had a couple of spikes that came out within the organization. So again, this is just another attempt at trying to tamp some of that stuff out. This would extend the policy to the end of March, and there are no current plans to extend it after that. With the staff being vaccinated and everybody kind of doing what they have to do to stay away from it, we don't feel there will be a need to extend it. So there is no plans after this one. So.
Thank you, City Manager. Commissioner Bosbus Rath, any questions or comments?
Yeah, I think a lot of companies are kind of taking a look at this as well because of that. We've running out December 31st with COVID still around. People don't want to bring it back to their place of employment and expose everyone else. So I think it's necessary to do this myself.
Thank you for your comments. Commissioner Collins, any questions or comments?
I'm in support of this. I think it's a great idea. So that's all I have to say. Thanks.
Thank you for your comments. Commissioner Miller, any questions or comments?
Yeah, I think this is a great program. It's necessary. I'd like to ask Mr. Chapman a question, if I may.
Sure.
Yeah.
Brian, what percentage of city employees have started the vaccination process?
So I can't speak to any employee that may be getting it outside of the organization on their own. This is actually gonna be part of one of my updates. The police department has been vaccinated. The fire department has been vaccinated. Not 100% of each of those departments. Our water treatment plant, our wastewater treatment plant, some within our streets department. So we've been working with the county health department for the last couple of weeks to get a list of employees that are interested in being vaccinated. Of the 120 or so, I think we had 80 responses to the survey that we sent out, and it's about half and half, which is pretty common. When you're looking at the hospital, they were reporting how much of their staff has been vaccinated. Nationally, how many people are interested in receiving the vaccination right now. So it kind of falls along those lines. The exact number of people that have been vaccinated right now, you know, is probably, I wouldn't want to say more than 30, but it could be between 30 and 40 at this point. And that may be high.
In your original comments on this program, you were talking about spikes. What kind of spikes are you talking about? Spikes within our organization or just?
Yeah, so for example, we'd have an employee that was COVID positive. They weren't aware at the time, and they came in, and in their course of work, they had close proximity contact, closer than 6 feet for longer than 15 minutes. And we had to quarantine, you know, about 8 of our employees, and that was kind of early on. We had another department that was kind of hit by it. We had several employees kind of having to go out. So deer season seemed to be pretty bad for us. Everything else has been pretty good, but we want to incentivize people not coming to work if they're not feeling good or they've been exposed or whatever the case may be.
Thank you.
And we do require documentation. The speed at which we get them maybe isn't always the fast. The county health department's been pretty backed up, but the employees are in constant contact with either myself or Deputy Manager Troyer. There's documentation being supported, so we don't really feel there's a lot of abuse at all within the program. Most employees that are utilizing it are not taking the full time allowed, and they're actually only taking a day or two. They probably had close contact or they were exposed. They take a day off, they get a test, they get cleared, they come back, or they're just not feeling good. They take a day off, they get a test, and they come back. So it's most employees, actually all employees, aren't taking the full time that would be permissible under the federal law and possibly this policy.
Thank you, Mr. Chapman. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thanks, Commissioner. Commissioner Talentino, any questions or comments?
Thank you, Your Honor. No, I think this extension is fantastic. It's a great idea. I mean, we need to do what we can to protect our employees and the constituents coming in and out of City Hall, which this goes hand in hand. Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner. Commissioner Tuarte, any questions or comments?
Yeah, I did have a couple of questions I called Brian on earlier today. So he did answer them, and he is prepared to answer them here. My first question was, what's the cost to the taxpayers that has been? And he said it was more. Well, feel free, Brian, go ahead.
We had about 45 employees utilize the program. It's kind of hard to say what the exact dollar amount is. I could have payroll run it. But it's been a mix of hourly employees and salary employees. So there's some extra costs associated to it. When it comes to salary employees, that's just a loss of productivity. There's not an extra cost there necessarily. So I don't have the exact dollar amount. If something the commission really wanted, we can get that. But again, it's been about 45 employees. It's been a mix of hourly and salary.
And then my other questions too, you are just, do any of the grant programs or any of the COVID relief packages, do they help with reimbursement of any of these expenses?
So there was one that came out earlier in the year that helped a little bit, but right now, unfortunately, a lot of the local government relief aid was left out of the federal packages, and there's not a lot of talk of it coming down from the state to the local municipalities. One thing that we did really early on in the COVID pandemic was we added expense lines within the payroll system and expense lines within the operating budget. And if anything that we purchase or any dollar amount that we have to pay out is related to COVID for any reason, we charge it to that COVID line so that if there is an opportunity being reimbursed or apply for a grant, we can quickly pull those numbers up and we have an accurate account for how much dollars have been spent. So we've been fortunate enough that we haven't been hard hit like a city of Detroit or something like that, but we have had some extra dollars spent related to cleaning patrol cars, extra PPE at the fire department, some extra equipment throughout the city hall and public works and stuff like that. So, you know, we're keeping an eye on that. There's hopefully going to be maybe more stuff coming out in the future. I'm not sure, but we are prepared if those requests do come out.
All right, thank you. Thank you for your answers. I am also in support of this program. I think that it's really important to keep our employees and also the people in our community safe. And we want our employees to feel like we've got their backs. I know that there are a lot of other companies, and me being a small business owner, I could never afford to do this. So I think it's fantastic that we as a city can do this, and we want our employees to feel like we're here for them and we're protecting them. So thank you, Mayor.
Thanks for your questions. Commissioner Baker, any questions or comments?
Oh, in support of it. We need it. It's important. So that's it.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Bosbus Rath, would you like to make a motion?
Absolutely. Motion to approve the policy as presented.
Support.
Been moved and supported. Any questions or comments? Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Baspas Rath,
Yes.
Commissioner Collins. Commissioner Collins,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Talentino,
Yes.
Commissioner Tuarty,
Yes.
Mayor Gary,
Yes.
Commissioner Baker.
Yes.
Motion has passed unanimously. Thank you very much. Item H, city manager announcements and updates. City manager Chapman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I was given an update that there are staff members receiving the vaccination right now. The police department and the fire department were the first group to be vaccinated. I believe our water treatment plant and our wastewater treatment plant has also started to receive the vaccinations. I think a couple members in the street department have received them. We're working with the health department to make sure that when the employees are called up, they're ready to go. There's not a lot of information right now on when the rest of the organization would be eligible. They have prioritized essential and critical infrastructure, kind of subcategorize those as well. So the police and fire were essential. Our water and sewer crews have been essential, and they'll just kind of start working down those lines. There's no tentative dates on when everyone will have it, but we'll just kind of keep working down that line. With that, we've also been notified that we'll be getting back our prison crew to help out in our parks department. That's a necessary component within our park system. They do a lot of different stuff in the wintertime. Fortunately, we haven't had a lot of snow, so it hasn't been too bad for us. But they have been on a hiatus during the fall for COVID, and they should be coming back here in a week or so. Next item here is emergency purchase. They sent this to the commission through an email last week, I believe, and per the policy, I have to present it to the commission. We are approving an emergency repair and purchase for one of the lift stations, the 3rd Avenue lift station. We originally had about $35,000 approved and budgeted back in 2013. Why the project never moved or got done, I don't really know. But it has kind of turned out into a benefit. The total cost for the reconstruction of that particular lift station is about $19,316. So there is a substantial savings there. Our new wastewater treatment plant part-time supervisor is the one seeing this through. The emergency repair form that I've also included there is verbiage from the project request from 2013. It was obsolete then and having issues, and it's even more obsolete and having more issues 7 years later for it not being done. So that's a major project that we're moving on. We're happy that we're moving on that. So that's just an FYI to the commission. And next up for my updates is some project updates. And for that, I have a PowerPoint, which everybody loves. So just a couple updates for the major projects going into 2021 here. The Carbide dock project, we just got the design specs back from the consultants. That project's moving along. Again, that's the $23 million project. 20 million coming from the state, and the rest coming from this, or 20 million from the feds, the rest from the state. Here's a concept design that has just been turned into us with the design and drawing information. So you can kind of see the conceptual where we're going to go with here. So this will be the loading area. This will be the dock space. This will be the DNR grant and some of the associated LSSU work along Alfred Park. Some open space up here, as well as the roads and the parking lots. So it's kind of what we're looking at. This is going to be a big project. We're looking forward to getting that one moving. Associated with that project is the Easter Day reconstruction. This one's moving along very well. We've got the design back. We're working on the bids and getting all that stuff ready to go. Within this project, there is 2 roundabouts that we can share with you a little bit more detailed information. This would be the roundabout at Minneapolis, Manda, Kimball, and Easter Day. And then there will be another roundabout at Easter Day and Seymour Street. So There will be 2 roundabouts installed on this location. We'll have to do some marketing, some communication pieces to get people informed on what we're doing there. So we're minimize any kind of traffic issues that may come up with those. So we're looking forward to that project moving along. The downtown access and placemaking project, we are due to receive the bids back here this week. So we will get the bids back, we will review them, and they should be coming to the commission within the next couple of meetings for approval to proceed. So this is the big one. We're real excited to get the bids in here. Again, this project underway for the summer. So again, this one is 4 parking lots, a couple of streets, and some placemaking elements throughout it. So happy to see that one moving forward. The big one that everyone is always asking about is the Power Canal project. This one is currently out to bid. Phase 1 is out to bid. Phase 2 will be out to bid and constructed next summer. We had to bid this out with the MDOT bidding processes, so we should get those bids back relatively soon for commission approval. So making progress on these key projects here. Safe Routes to School project, that grant application has been turned in. Still waiting to hear back from the state and federal government on that one. So those are kind of the highlights for 2021. We got a lot of other stuff going on, but this is kind of the stuff that everyone asks us for. So just as an FYI, we'll email this little packet out to you so you have all the design information as well as the roundabout information. So other than that, Mr. Mayor, I've got nothing else.
All right, pretty amazing. Brian, could you just more narrowly define on your first statement the prison crew, just to put people's minds at ease? It's the local jail crew?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. It's the County Chippewa prison crew.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just because I know there was quite a large COVID outbreak in Kinross, and that's not where the crew is coming from.
It's county prison inmates. I apologize. Not federal ones.
All right. Anybody have any questions or comments for Brian with his information? Commissioner Baker.
Just some comments on his topics tonight. Great job. It's really nice to see things moving forward, especially with these big projects that some have been sitting around for, it seems like, a while anyway. So really kudos to you and the administration for moving forward with everything. Question regarding budget session. I apologize for not being at the last meeting, and I know I talked to you, Brian. But typically we get the department request, the manager's recommendation, and we get a big book and we get to go through that, and then we have our meeting. Are we getting that same detailed information? And if so, how much time are we going to have? Like, when will we get that information before we actually meet on it? Because it is typically in the past, it's an astronomical of a large amount of information, small numbers, and takes a while to go through. So just curious.
I will follow up with the budget schedule. We sent it out. I'll resend it. I don't have it in front of me again.
Yeah, I saw the schedule. I just wasn't sure when we would get to go through.
We'll do the same thing we did last year too. I'll feed you information as we move along, so you're kind of appraised of some of our thoughts and the numbers coming in and the assumptions. I will, again, I'll pull up the schedule and get a little bit more concrete information on those dates, because I don't have it necessarily in front of me. So it'll be my goal is the same as last year. Last year was a little bit different because we didn't know what in the world was happening. The sooner we can get that information to everyone, the better, because we understand it's a lot of information. And it's not always clear. So the sooner we can get those budget documents to everyone, the better. We are working on some changes to the format so that it is more user-friendly, easily understood by people that haven't been doing this for decades. So we're trying a couple of new things. We're going to get you the information as soon as we can, and we'll try to get as much information to you as early as possible as we move along in the process too.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. thank you. Anybody else have any questions or comments for the city manager? Seeing none, great reports, Brian. Thank you very much. Moving on into item I, which is matters presented by the public. Is there anybody online that would like to speak in front of the commission this evening? Just need you to unmute or give us some hand signal that you'd like to speak. So anybody from the public that would like to speak to the commission this evening? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to item J, which is matters presented by the city commission. So city commission, we'll open it up. Commissioner Baker.
I just want to give a shout out to the Chippewa County Community Foundation, Kyle Riotor and Debbie for partnering up with the DDA and the chamber with the community cares. I think they have over getting close to the 1,500 goal mark for gift cards supporting our hospital and first responders throughout the county. So kudos to them and good job. And from what I hear, at least from my husband anyway, things are kind of slowing down at the hospital, COVID related. So that's exciting. I really, as far as the county commission bringing something forth regarding the businesses reopening, I definitely support that 100%. And especially when it comes to our restaurants, because our small local businesses are suffering so much. And a question I would have, and I would be very curious to see what the numbers are. When our numbers are tallied by the Chippewa County Health Department for COVID, are they including the prison population within those numbers? Because if they are, that's significant, because that's not really true to our population as a community, but they have no other, it is what it is. You understand? So I'm just nervous that in come 2 weeks, the restaurants are still not going to be able to open for whatever reason. And if that happens, basically I just like to have some sort of a backup plan. And I agree with you 100% with the county being the ones to bring that forth as they are, involved with the health department and whatnot. But for us, whether we write a letter in support to the county or of some sort to really have a backup plan, because our restaurants, they need it. And whatever we can do with reaching out to our legislators and for more funding, especially for the UP, the amount of funding that our restaurants in bars and whatnot have gotten compared to other counties and whatnot based off of it, it's ridiculous. So we really need to do whatever we can to help support, because anybody that's ever worked in the restaurant industry knows how hard it is to not only start a business, but remain open for as long as we've been fortunate enough to have family businesses like the Christellises and, everybody downtown is a family business. So whatever we can do on our end, let's do it and have a plan. So in 2 weeks, if she says no, I don't even care if we start a GoFundMe page to pay for their fine. Something has to happen to get these guys back open. So, and especially when you see other places that are open and the mask mandates it's just, the restaurant industry has done their part by far in this whole crisis. So, and at some point I believe it has to fall on us, the citizens. So thank you.
Thanks, good comments. I agree with you. And the prison population was counted elsewhere at one point in time, but they've changed this scheme so many times I can't figure it out. Brian, can you shed some light on it for us?
Not a lot. I'm actually emailing, sorry. I'm emailing the county, the health department director right now with that question. I kind of understood it the way you did, Mr. Mayor. At one point, the prison population was being counted. I don't know if it still is or if that's changed. I know when David John reports his numbers of what's happening in the hospital, it typically does include the prison population, as any COVID positive or any sick inmate goes to War Memorial automatically. So I'm emailing her right now. I'll CC you all. And if she doesn't reply all, I will get the information back to you all.
Yeah, it would be interesting in moving forward if we can keep track and report with, separately, because I know, for instance, Wawading, they're waiting for that, percentage to get below a certain rate before they go back to school. And if that prison population is being included in that percentage, it might not ever go down,
Right.
just so, and God help the moms homeschooling. So whatever we can do to figure that out, and it'd be great backup too if the governor does come back and says, no, we're not allowing you to open, and then we can say, hey, look at our numbers without we were better than we ever thought. We shouldn't have even been shut down in the first place. So just food for thought, I guess.
Thanks. And our numbers are the best of every one of the 83 counties in the cases per million. It shows 671. So any other commissioners? Commissioner Torti.
Yeah, just a couple of things. First of all, I wanted to say thank you, Mayor, about your comments at the beginning of the meeting about the manifesto. And I agree with Commissioner Baker on some certain things. Like, I am so fearful for our restaurant and our bar community. It's been so hard to be able to be open every single day and see all the restaurants and the bars around me not being able to be there. It's just heartbreaking. I mean, we get as much food as we can out at different restaurants all week long so that we're supporting, but we know that that is not enough. I know that these manifestos and these resolutions hold no legal power, and that's what a lot of people were coming out. I don't know if any of the other commissioners had people reaching out to them, but as soon as Bexar County came out with this manifesto, everybody thought that they were going to be in this little isolation bubble where everything would open up and they could do whatever they wanted to. And that's just not the case. I mean, these, the restaurant and the bar industry they're regulated by state regulating agencies. We can't do anything here locally except for voice our concern. And I am glad that the Chippewa County Commission is going to be taking a look. I did read the resolution, and I really like the language in this one, even though I sent the Baraga one out to a couple of commissioners last week. I was not in support of that language. I just wanted to see if we were going to do anything locally. And I'm glad that the county is taking steps towards that, and they're taking the initiative. If you feel like we should send a letter of support for the resolution, I would certainly sign something. And I just wanted the community to know that this is not legal power. And I didn't want there to be any confusion out there about any sort of bar or restaurant opening up, thinking that we gave them a sanctuary city legal authority, and then them lose their licenses and we were to blame. So, that's why I really like their resolution much more. It just basically says how we're struggling up here. We need to get our businesses open. We need to be taking a look at this. The restaurant industry is very diligent about cleaning and making sure that things are done really well. So I would certainly sign a letter of support to send to the county commission if the rest of the commission would like to do that. Other than that, I am done. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good comments. Anybody else? Commissioner Bosworth.
Yeah, just real quick. I have not read your email yet, Mayor, so I will do that. But I agree with Commissioner Torti. I did read the one from Baraga, and I was a little apprehensive of the wording that they did use. That concerned me quite a bit. So I'm happy to read this one and give my thoughts later. So.
Thank you. It's I think as Commissioner Twardy said, it's pointed and it's to the point and doesn't give any false representations. And I think it's most appropriate for the counties because there are only 83 counties in the state of Michigan, and they do represent the health system. So, and you can imagine the conflict that they would have because our Chippewa County Health Department actually is governed by Chippewa County now. And can you imagine our county telling them to disregard a state order from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services? And what would happen with the health department employees? Could be in violation of law and probably subject to lawsuits and criminal activity, but they're going against their supervision. So it would be a real mess. So I'm glad that they are taking a smart approach and supporting our local business establishments. And as Commissioner Baker said, it's mostly restaurants and bars right now that are forbidden from being open. So, and I agree with Commissioner Baker. If they meet on Wednesday, the county board, and they pass this resolution, they send it down, and if enough counties represent, and if the governor does not change, or the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, then certainly there's more action warranted, I think, by the citizens. So, anybody else have any questions or comments? Commissioner Baker.
Just real quick, is there anything that we can do as a commission and as far as writing a letter to our senators and congressmen to talk about, ask for help, for funding, for more grant for the UP specifically? Because when it comes to the disbursement, the UP always gets little to nothing because it's based off of the population. But that does not, even though it's based off of the population, what about our tourism and all the influx of people? Just because our population is small doesn't mean that our businesses don't, need that extra funding. So if there's anything that we can do on our end, just as one massive letter, we all sign it, we make our phone calls to them individually if we can, or
any thoughts on that, city manager? As far as I know, we can do that individually, but as a governing board, certainly I would be in favor of requesting assistance.
I can put something together.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you, Brian. Appreciate
Perfect.
it.
All right. All right. Anybody else? Well, it's been a good meeting, but a kind of a short meeting, hey? So seeing nothing else for the good of the cause, Commissioner Twardy.
Move to adjourn.
Support.
All right, it's been moved and supported. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned. Thank you very much. Have a great night, everybody.
Have a good week.